left, right.
Thanks for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. I would really appreciate if you like and subscribe to this podcast. And if you have a heart, share it with some friends. Today we're going to be talking about broker fees because that seems to be a pretty hot topic. And I saw a meme earlier. I'm going to share that one with you too because it really got my head thinking quite a bit. All right. This is SipTalk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Of course, let's go.
Cheers.
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 All right, so we are live. This is Sip Talk, episode 22, which is pretty cool. Second one this week. We're really picking up the pace here. I like that.
One of the topics.
Yeah. When you're ready.
Oh, you were drinking Stella?
Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers, guys.
It could be this or White Claw, one of those.
These are a little warm. What do you got over there?
Yeah, I finally got you on board on the warm beer train.
Well, that was our only option. This is coming down because I can't fucking focus.
I mean, yeah.
All right, that's that. All right, James, sorry, but we're exposing you to coronavirus through the internet here. I guess you couldn't see that, but we had this big plastic barrier up.
Is it broadcasting on 5G?
I don't know what's going on with the bandwidth today, but it is not looking good.
Because if it's not broadcasting on 5G, then I think everyone's safe. It's only 5G that spreads coronavirus.
Yeah, well, there you go, because that's definitely a real problem for people that believe in most conspiracy theories.
Yeah, but given that your side of the screen is a slideshow right now, the adoring public is safe.
Yeah, the public's not safe.
Yeah, so this is a machete I got in the mail. And it's really...
You got it on the mail?
Yeah, it came in the mail.
I thought that you couldn't send those things.
I know, but it's sharp as shit.
No, you can't take them on airplanes.
I guess I won't be able to bring it to the Amazon with me while I bushwhacked my way to the hotel. So,
Yeah. I think that's going to be a pretty good thing for the incoming zombie apocalypse.
Well, I hear that, with 5G and whatever's coming after that, it's probably going to happen. So, I want to talk today...
It's really the natural next step.
Whenever you're ready, I want to talk today about day drinking. And... Well, it's 6:30.
Is that the top? We're just gonna do a day drinking.
Let's just call it classy and just call it brunch.
So I've been day drinking back since I could drink, really, and probably before that. I've never really looked at alcohol as a bad thing. When I lived in South Carolina and I worked at Enterprise, which is a place where you drive cars for a living, I'd bike home and have a beer with lunch. I love those days because I lived so close. I lived 6 minutes away. I could come home for lunch, make lunch, and go back to work. But I had a beer with lunch. I didn't have 2 or 3 or 5 or pound some vodka. But I'd have a beer and go back to work.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties of this country. For example, in New York, you can drink at any time. You can drink at 10 o'clock, well, it's brunch. You can drink at 3 o'clock. Well, there's a match, or there's a game on TV, so you will always have the best combination possible, which is a beer and wings. Beer and burgers.
Grab your phone, though. Pull up the post that I sent you. This is, so...
Oh, fuck, I feel so offended because of this post. Hold on, this is the post. Give me 1 second. This is the post that he just sent me. It's like...
So I sent him a post, but it made me think, and that's what made me think of this today. It says, what's considered trashy if you're poor, but classy if you're rich? Now, I've probably been on both sides of this equation, but somebody commented, day drinking, speaking 2 languages, hard drugs, and tax avoidance. Are you catching that on your end of the internet, James?
I'm getting like every other word from you. Your connection's really bad.
Ah, fucking.
Are you uploading something?
No, I canceled the uploads. Let me close out the rest of my Chrome.
No.
We'll drop out a little WhatsApp.
So we have this group chat, him, Adam, and I, where we normally send each other memes, whatever. And he sent that to me. None of them speak the language more than English. The Spanish whenever they're drunk, but that's just like not fluent at all. I'm the one that speaks English and Spanish fluent in both languages. I'm the one that they drinks on a daily basis. I'm the one that just beat that on whatever thing, hard drugs. And let's just not get the IRS involved into this. So like, I feel offended. I feel attacked. I feel personally attacked. But then again, as I said before, here in the States, it's pretty common to drink in the morning, drink in the afternoon, and have a glass of wine at night because, well, you're having a night out and you want to either pair your steak with a red wine, pair your fish with a white wine, and it's totally normal. In my country, it's totally the opposite. If they see you drinking at, I don't know, 2 o'clock.
Hold on, pause for a minute though, because we're running into some real issues with the audio here. It says internet connection is unstable. James is saying you can barely hear me.
We can do a voiceover with this.
James, you want me to do audio through the phone?
What?
You want to do audio through the phone? I'll call you on the phone.
I don't care either way.
All right, here we go. Hacking the system. What's your phone number? Send me your phone number in the group chat. I think that's it.
Maybe somebody else.
There's. All right. So now, hold on.
All right, let me just play my headphones.
Oh yeah, that is a long delay.
All right, guys, tell me if you can get the audio from over here. James, you really got to shout into your phone so you can be heard on live. Raj, thank you. I know we're good on Facebook for the sound, but we're in the middle of a Zoom meeting as well because, well, we're crossing state lines here. Can you hold that microphone next to your mouth while you're speaking?
Like, why?
That's on you, James. James, we're just waiting for you to talk. Oh, you hung up. Hey, you hear me?
Yeah, now I hear you fine. I pressed the wrong button on my Bluetooth headphones because I want to have my hands free and I don't want to have to be holding the cell phone to my head the entire time that I'm on the stream.
Can you guys hear this? Ask if these guys can hear it over there. Because last time we had some sound issues, and then when we uploaded, we had sound issues as well. So it was a clusterfuck any way you look at it when it came to sound. But this Zoom stuff is new, and we're going over the internet connection, and I don't think there's many people left in the office at 7 o'clock. But
Adam just got here from previous.
Do you want me to keep the webcam on?
yeah. I feel like we're almost in the same room. Can you ask these guys how the sound quality is from where they are? Make sure they can hear this guy.
It's over you.
James speaks 2 languages. He's got that going for him.
What do you got besides English?
Spanish. It's rusty now, but you get about a month in Spain and I'd be back to fluent.
What?
Since then, how's the sound quality?
Yeah. How's the sound quality? Yeah. But yeah, I think hard drugs definitely either a very poor person's thing or a very affluent person's thing. No comment from him.
I don't know. Middle class people seem to like them too.
Well, the middle class is sliding.
I mean, have you
That's
seen the
middle
rates
class
of?
If you're doing hard drugs, you're not going to be middle class for too long.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bigger rate of people doing hard alcohol, and I don't know where did they get the drugs, but they're actually doing like hard drugs in this pandemic, like in this quarantine. There is a huge spike on alcohol sales. There's a huge spike on import of drugs. And
But people have all this extra time, and people got to face the real hard facts of what life is like.
yeah.
Which Which I think the thing is, when life is bad, you're probably day drinking and doing hard drugs, and obviously avoiding taxes because they cost money. But then when you're upper class, you're doing hard drugs because they're given to you for free, and you're day drinking because you may not have to have a 9-to-5 job.
And you're avoiding taxes because you can pay people like me to do them for you.
but I mean, that's effectively, I think that makes a lot of sense. But my point is, I don't. Depending on what you're doing, I don't have an issue with the day drinking. If we have an agent that goes out and has a beer or two with a client or for lunch, I think we lost the live. I think we lost one of the lives. Why don't you turn the volume down on them? So,
that's the beauty of the service industry. The job that we're doing right now is a service industry. You just go meet people and try to do the extra mile for that person. You don't want to be the kind of person that is selling them something. No, you want to be a connection. You want to be a friend. You want to be someone that they can rely on. So what you do is once you moving itself or finding an apartment is very stressful. It's not easy. It's not something that you can just leave it to someone and let them do whatever, and you don't have to worry about it. And that's our job. We should be able to just take their stress off their shoulders and just that's what the reason why they're paying us for. And once we go out, we see different apartments. We're like, okay, which one is the one that you actually like? Which one is the one that you actually feel like you can see yourself living for, like, I don't know, the rest of the time that you want to spend in this city. And if they go like, I like this apartment, then you go like, perfect, let me just set an application for that. And they just go out for a drink after that. They just go out, get some drinks. Let's just, just take our minds off of this.
But I think when it comes to business meetings and things like that, it's often done over a drink. No, I mean, I'm very cautious, and I tell agents, and I said it a lot in the beginning when we kept a decanter in the conference room, which we try to keep full, but it didn't last. That your clients can't drink before signing a contract, because having a drink to say we're done is cool. But having a drink and somebody saying, well, I drank too much, I'm going to use that as an excuse. I don't want to, that's never happened to us, but I don't want to be put in that position.
I can tell you that that's not an excuse for signing a contract. If they're to challenge it in court and said that they had a drink beforehand.
Well, a drink.
They would lose in court 100% of the time. But you don't want to have to go to court in the first place.
Exactly. So just preventative measures.
That's why once the signature is in, once the whole process is done, then you should go like, let's just go have a drink. Because the more connections you get with that person, the more people that there will be like, listen, I had like and I had a client a week ago that they were like, you make our process as easy as possible. We didn't do anything, which is when check places, we told you the place that we want. That place didn't work out, but you literally told us that there was another place better than the one that we just found.
But part of this business is being likable, and being trustable, which I think is a lot easier if you're genuinely likable and trustable,
which I am,
and trustworthy. But grabbing a drink with somebody after contract is signed, or saying, hey, once we get everything complete, let's grab a drink, is a really good incentive, and it's a stressful thing. We do a lot of people that come to us are super stressed. So being able to grab a drink afterwards is a nice, I had people that come in from out of town, they're like, all I want to do is just grab a glass of wine. And I'm like, fine, once we finish this, it's on me.
Yeah.
And we order, I don't know if you have in South Carolina the mini bar app. Do you have that as a thing where you can order what you want on the app and it gets delivered to you?
I have no idea. You know my stance on apps in general.
Well, yeah, I know that. Yeah, but either way, it's not. I mean, we have a liquor store that's 2 blocks away. We can call the liquor store, and they bring it over in a half hour. So.
Yeah,
so
well, New York also has all sorts of apps for those kind of deliveries and stuff, and Charleston just is not big enough of a market to support anything like that.
Even the downtown area?
I don't know. I only go downtown when I'm getting paid to.
Oh, well.
Which is practically every day of the week, but
so
I wouldn't be going there if I wasn't getting paid.
So the other thing I want to talk about is broker fees, how they work, what they are, when to expect them, which is traditionally...
How to introduce them as well to the client.
Traditionally, I have worked in a market where it's an owner's market, basically meaning that there's a huge amount of demand when it comes from renters. And the renters in New York City traditionally pay the broker's fee. In any other market, you have a higher vacancy rate, and the renters can have their choice of apartments, and the real estate agents that show those apartments are paid by the owner. Just like in a sales market, if you're selling your home, I'm representing the home, and someone comes to me for the listing, you're paying me. If they come to the listing with their broker, you're paying me, and my broker's splitting that with their broker. But it's paid by the seller, and in other markets for rentals, broker fees are paid by the owner. In New York City, there's a lot of owners that may own 500 or 1,000 or 10,000 units, and their office is in Great Neck on Long Island. They don't have an office in the city. And they have what are called open listings. So they email the greater brokerage community, so they may send an email blast out daily or weekly or twice a week with their vacancy list. And traditionally it's, 2 to 4 to 8 apartments. Now we're seeing 10 pages of listings, so it's very high vacancy rates. But because they have such few vacancies, they're not paying the brokers. The brokers go out and they photograph the apartments, they advertise the apartments, which cost money, and then they field phone calls, emails, and text messages, and they show the property. They deal with a lot of underqualified people or underprepared people, and then we have to negotiate a broker's fee with those incoming renters. We submit their application. If it's approved, they pay our broker's fee when they sign the lease. That's traditionally how it works. James, you're familiar more or less with that business model?
Yeah, it doesn't really exist in Charleston, though. In Charleston, most of the apartments are either going to be with a real estate company or, like in apartment complexes, you're going to have property managers on site that you deal with directly. So I guess that the broker's fees or whatever are just kind of lumped into the rent, where I'm basically paying the salary for the property managers.
So we have this.
It's an invisible charge.
It's an invisible charge. We have the same thing here. We have a lot of luxury high-rise buildings. What they'll do is they'll put an on-site management office, which handles management, it handles leasing, and it handles showing. So if you go to the doorman in the building, you say, "Hey, what do you have available?" And they say, "Go to the fourth floor, go to apartment 4S." And knock on the door, and they'll give you a tour. And you go to apartment 4S, they have you fill out a form. And just like when we went to Plantation Oaks or Plantation Gardens or Plantation Stables or any of the plantation type apartment complexes, which I think it's a funny thing. It's just all these old plantations were turned into apartment complexes.
Well, and I just think that there's some odd marketing there, because, I've had some conversations with people from the South that don't seem to think that plantation has a negative connotation, but us coming from the North, it definitely does.
Yeah.
And all I can think is, what do you feel, how does it feel like as a black person to go and apply to live at a plantation or whatever? What's the marketing spin there? Not only are the rates great, but you could work where you live.
No, but they're trying to. I actually heard recently that they're trying to get away from. They may delete the term plantation from a lot of these establishments.
Same as cotton.
But
Cotton apartments.
Condos.
Cotton. Yeah.
What cotton apartments?
No, there's a place called Cotton Apartments. Cotton real estate.
All right. Either way, it's for a long time people have not paid much attention to it because it was the South. But now we have a lot of things that just make you. I mean, we looked at it a funny way. Like, you have all these people that want to live in a plantation. There's one thing about being the plantation owner, but when you just live in a plantation, you're not the owner of the plantation. Typically there's work involved. I feel like, I don't know.
I should just change the subject at some point.
Yeah, it's a pretty top-heavy arrangement.
Yeah, before I dig any deeper. But yeah, either way, when we moved into an apartment, we didn't have much of a process to go to. We showed up. We said we want to see apartments. They gave us a quick tour. Not even the exact unit that we would. They gave us a tour of a model, and then they said the apartment you will move into will look just like this. It'll be located over there near the pond, some Spanish moss and some willow trees. You know.
No, they didn't even tell us where the apartment they were going to move into was. They said it's going to be somewhere on this complex.
Well, exactly. And then I think they did a credit check. And we were 22 at the time, 23, 22?
2.
And yeah, and that was it. But it was very, we didn't have to have tax returns and pay stubs and employment letter, social security card, bank statements. We filled out an application, they ran our credit, and they said you're approved.
No, they still wanted us to verify income. Because I'm pretty sure that as we were 22, I know that my mom co-signed on the first lease that we had.
The first lease, your mom.
Enough income that we didn't have to have that done anymore. But for the first one, they did verify income.
Yeah, but a lot of people aren't prepared for that when they move to New York City. But what I'm saying about broker fees is the model is reversed here. When you have on-site management, their incomes are usually compensated by the landlord, and it's built into the rent. Now, in New York City, we also have a thing that's called, so typically the renter pays the broker fee. Just like in a suburban market, a lot of brokers will ask for 5 or 6% on a sales transaction, which legally it's fully negotiable. In Manhattan, brokers will ask anywhere from 12 to 15 or even up to 18%. And I have seen higher on apartments that are very, very low in rent. For example, we had one today that it was rent regulated. It was under $1,100 for a 2-bedroom apartment. Now, that's not
better than what I'm paying in Charleston.
But it's barely even a Charleston thing, and this is in New York City. So that's an apartment where you could justify a heavier broker fee because it's such a good deal. Like that's a once in a lifetime apartment. Those people should stay there for the next 15 or 20 years if they can afford to, and obviously if they're happy with it. But instead of someone coming to us and paying 12% or 15%, we also have times where the landlords pay the broker fee. And typically, when a landlord is paying the broker fee, it's justified in how much the landlord is earning per month in rent. So the apartments where the landlord paid the broker fee are typically higher priced than a comparable apartment with a broker fee. So I may have a $2,700 2-bedroom, that's not a real price. I may have a $3,200 2-bedroom in Hell's Kitchen, and it's a really good deal. It's got 2 separate queen-size bedrooms and a living room, probably for that price range, not very well updated, not a gut renovation, but a decent amount of space on a 3rd, 4th, or 5th floor walk-up. But because it's a good deal around that $3,000 mark, the landlord is not going to pay me as a broker because there's high demand for a $3,000, $3,200 2-bedroom.
In Hell's Kitchen.
Now, a $3,600 2-bedroom in a comparable building, the owner may be willing to pay the broker, and thus the apartment will become no fee for a renter. So the renter saves this upfront cost of 12, 15, 16, 18%. And a lot of people think 15% is a standard fee, but it's illegal to use the term standard fee, and we're always negotiable, which is why on an $1,100 apartment, we might ask for an 18% fee, because someone's willing to pay 18%, because at $1,100, that's a couple $100 more.
Yeah.
But if you move into an apartment where the owner pays the broker, typically your monthly rental amounts are higher. So you have to do the math and figure out if it's better to pay a higher rate monthly or to pay more upfront.
That's why it's a lot smarter to know what's the difference between net rent and gross rent. Because there was a chick that came here and was like, my net effective, it's, what was it, 3,400? And we're like, yeah, that's your net effective, but you know that your net effective is not what you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay more. And
well,
so
if we show her something at 3,400, say she said net 34, we show her something at 34, and then need to charge a broker's fee, then her net, obviously, she's gonna end up paying over. Going to end up paying over 34. Now, if we show her no fee apartments at the 34 mark, then she's probably not going to get as nice of an apartment as she would with a fee apartment. But that's why the nice thing that most of the guys that are here have been trained to do is sit down with that person, go over the options. And I always, when I go out with a client, I like to start low price wise, and then work our way up. I like to start as low as I think is feasible for that person, because in New York City you can always find something more expensive. There's always more expensive options. So I like starting 15% to 20% below their budget, if there is anything out there, and then working our way up. And I'd like to show somebody something that's 8 to 10% above budget, just to contextualize what's out there for that person. James, feedback on the New York City rental market?
No, I really don't have any because I haven't rented in New York City. I would just say that the prices that y'all charge in rent is absurd. That $1,100 apartment that you're talking about, was that like two like refrigerator boxes from Best Buy that somebody duct taped together and put a sign on?
So there's this wild law that came out last year. It's called the HSTPA, and it's the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act. And what they're doing, so typically if I bought a building, say it was a building in really rough shape, a lot of low-paying tenants, a lot of people on programs, a lot of people in rent-stabilized apartments that have been there for 30 years. I buy that building. As those leases end or those people move out, I can go in and renovate the apartments. And I can convert them to market-rate apartments. So somebody might move out who's paying $900 a month, but it's a nice building in Chelsea, and I can now get $4,300 a month because that's market rate. So I renovate the apartment, and I throw all the calculations of the amount of money spent, and I can either it'll go above the legal rent cap, and it's destabilized, or I have to show the calculation of the amount of money I put in. It'll still be a stabilized apartment. Either way, if it's market rate, I can charge whatever I want. If it's stabilized, I have to show the math. But now with this law, they're only allowing deductions of $15,000 worth of work, which might seem like a lot of money, but
no, it's not.
It's not that much when you're renovating an apartment that somebody's lived in for 30 years, where the floors need to be. I mean, somebody's lived in an apartment for 2 years. A lot of times the floors need to be replaced, or at least reset.
Most of the floors is probably $8,000 or $9,000 right there.
Yeah, but remember, labor is more expensive in New York City as well. But we're talking floors are replaced. Walls 30 years ago were plaster walls. Now we're using sheetrock, so the walls are going to come down. A lot of times the electrical is going to be upgraded. Yeah. The plumbing is going to be upgraded. Everything's also going to be brought to code, which involves permits, which are not cheap. And you have to do all this work replacing windows. I mean, remember, we're talking 30 years. So, everything's changing over the course of 30 years. Everything's got to be brought up to code. It's costing you a fortune. It's costing you 6 figures to get this work done in these apartments. But now you're not allowed to raise the rent, whatever the 1.5% of $15,000 or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I figure it out and I'll include it later. But it's a very small amount of money, very marginal amount, and it's not worth it anymore to renovate these apartments. Now, this landlord is still renovating the apartments, so this is going to be a renovated apartment for less than $1,100, but he can't charge. The person before was paying $900 or $1,000 or somewhere in that realm, and he'll end up spending $85,000 on the apartment and can't recoup his money. So it's a wild law. If I was a landlord, I'd rather let that sit.
It's what's happening in Detroit, or what happened in Detroit. There were so many programs, so many incentives for people with low income to no income to get an apartment. And at some point, the landlords were like, "Well, if we're gonna rent an apartment and there's no incentives for us, what's the point of us actually renovating an apartment?" If they want to pay,
that's happening already.
Yeah.
$1,100. If I own an apartment that somebody was paying $987 a month for because it ticked up slowly over the course of the last 30 years, and they moved out, and the apartment's trash, but it's a $1,000 apartment. A lot of people would be happy to move into in Manhattan a $1,000 apartment,
regardless,
and put down some carpeting, clean it up, repaint it themselves, right? Because it's an upgrade. And I mean, I would gladly do that if I was spending $1,000 a month in rent.
Yeah,
I
and the
mean, that
problem
doesn't
is-
exist in,
Yeah,
in
the
New York
problem is
City.
that apartment will also attract other places to be like, okay, that's the apartment, that's a building that has like $1,100, 2 bathrooms, and then it actually spreads like a virus. Then the next apartment has to have like something in that market and brings the whole market itself down.
Maria, can I see the phone real quick? And will you mind grabbing us a couple more of the beverages?
And that's the thing about
What
it.
is this,
like,
TikTok? How do we spin it around? What's up, TikTok? Anybody have any real estate questions regarding rent, regarding day drinking? Because that is kind of the main topic here, which got us started on the real estate thing. If you have questions about New York City, broker fees, anything in general, New York City neighborhoods, renting in New York City, buying in New York City, selling in New York City, feel free to comment. And Maria, you let me know, yeah?
Yep.
All right, so back to Maria.
I got you.
Cool. Hey, Jeanette, Ivy Joy, Michael, Sabrina, Rosh, Sammy, Nicole. We got a few people watching here on Facebook and little interaction. What are you, on Instagram over there? All right, wonderful. So if you guys have any questions about real estate, I think the broker fee thing is an eye-opener for a lot of people, especially outside of New York City, is that they're paying for a service. A lot of people don't know what it's like to be a real estate agent. They don't understand what goes into finding somebody an apartment. At the very least, what we do as agents is we do photography, advertising and marketing, and then we do appointment booking, and then we deal with a ton of people that just waste our time, and you're not being paid hourly.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know what they want. They're not qualified. They want you to give them a tour, or people just expect you to open the door and shut up, and they don't see any value in what you do as a real estate agent. But there's a lot involved, especially when it's 95 degrees outside, or yesterday it's a monsoon, and people still expect you to show up and show face and do business. And I agree it's a lot of money, but you have to bear in mind what you're paying for. The last time when I moved and I dropped, it was like $2,800 or something to pay a mover. To one, they packed up the apartment, and two, they carried everything out of the building, loaded a truck, drove it, unloaded the truck, and put it back in my apartment. And yeah, $2,800. I think it ended up being a little over $3,000. So like, well, you had a few more items than you had given us in the estimate. I'm like, all right, fair enough. But I was happy to pay that, even though it was a shit ton of money, but it was a service. And I think because I tried to get around using brokers in the city in my first year and a half of living here. And what I did was I walked around and I looked for 4 rent signs, and I would call them and see what they had and see what the prices were. Or I would go to buildings that I thought were interesting, and I would look up the information for the building and see if they had anything available in the building. Which happens to us, and this is an odd phenomenon. When somebody says, "Hey, I'm calling you about 182 Franklin Street. I wanted to see if you had anything available in that building. I really like it." Oddly, their budget is always under what the apartments are. Now, when somebody contacts me for a listing, like, "Hey, I saw you had this $2,800 2-bedroom in Greenpoint in 182 Franklin. I'd love to see it." Their budget is probably $3,300 or $3,400. It's the weird when somebody inquires about a specific listing, their budget is always higher. When somebody inquires about a general building, their budget is always lower than what that building offers. It's a very, very strange phenomenon, but I've noticed it, and I'm not the only person to articulate that. Shit, that was a lot fuller than the last one. What are you drinking, by the way?
Me? I'm drinking dark rum. Let me go grab the bottle.
Yeah. He's out. Don't forget you're connected to your phone.
What?
Oh, never mind. Bluetooth. I really like rum, actually.
It's pretty
Yeah,
for the
I've
summer.
been really-
For the summer, it's
this is
pretty
really
drinkable.
smooth and easy to drink.
Bacardi.
Oh, Bacardi. So Bacardi
Black.
was a big Cuban company that I think they really got super commercialized,
And they got bought out.
and they became I wouldn't say cheaper, but they became like a really regular, like a Smirnoff type thing. But they have some really
Oh, yeah.
nice bottles, like what you're drinking right now. and I think it's a really nice bottle of rum to jump into. I like a dark rum.
I got that one. It was like maybe $20 or something, if that. And like it's really smooth. It's a little on the sweet side for me, but for a bottle of aged rum that tastes good, it's tough to beat that. And yeah, there are more expensive brands out there that taste better, but when it comes to like value per dollar, if you find the right bottle of Bacardi, you're doing pretty well. I'm also a big fan of Cruzan.
I think the exact same thing about whiskey. The dollar amount per whiskey, that's like my thing. Because rum is pretty good.
I mean, my go-to rum, and this is from your family, James, is Myers rum. I really like Myers.
I love Myers. It's just twice as expensive as what I'm drinking right now.
And then I really like Appleton Estates, Jamaican rum. Appleton Estates, I love Appleton Estates.
Myers is Jamaican too, I think.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I'll do a nice Brugal.
Yeah, Bacardi is Jamaican. It got bought out by a Puerto Rican company.
No, I thought it was Puerto Rican.
No,
Wait.
Bacardi?
Bacardi I thought was Cuban. I thought Bacardi was Cuban.
No, it was Jamaican. And then it got bought out.
Anybody on live can tell us where Bacardi's from. I'm saying Cuba.
I'm looking it up right
You're
now.
saying Jamaican.
No, he's saying Jamaican. I'm saying Jamaican, he's saying Puerto
Bacardi
Rican.
Limited is headquartered in Bermuda.
Where's it from, though?
No, it got bought out by an American company. But originally it was either from Jamaica
So,
or...
yeah, I think it was founded in Cuba.
Yeah.
Founded in Cuba, but it's currently headquartered in Bermuda. So, you know.
Hey, what's up, Kareem? So we got Kareem Warner Tyson. One of the, I think in the very beginning of real estate, Kareem and I worked together quite a bit before I could really afford to go out and buy a bottle of what are you drinking over there? What's it called? Bacardi. I don't know if rum would be my go-to. I really dig Dark and Stormies. That's one of my all-time favorite drinks.
Yeah, but the headache tomorrow. The headache the next
Well, that's
day.
because you're drinking a lot of soda. You're drinking a lot of. I mean, how much are you drinking? First of all,
You know.
the whole bottle, plus ginger beer, and lime. You put
Dark and Stormies are a fantastic drink.
Yeah, they're super refreshing.
Yeah, I wanted one really badly last night, but I got caught in the rain so badly yesterday. I've not seen rain in New York City, nor thunder and lightning, and I stepped outside and it had just started, and it got so bad. I was standing under the scaffolding, and just water was pouring down through the scaffolding. I was soaked to the bone, my shoes all the way down to the underwear, just so literally sopping wet, and I was standing under the scaffolding with homeless people who were, for the most part, pretty reasonable, except for one guy who was just shouting to himself, which didn't really make any sense. But I don't know. That's New York City for you. You have a homeless. How's the homeless population down in South Carolina?
There's a fair bit of them downtown, but I don't know, downtown, like King Street, Meeting Street area. I just don't really pay attention to it. When I come back to work from grabbing lunch, I'm usually coming back on the bridge, and when the bridge lets out into downtown, there's a stoplight, and there's usually one or two homeless people there with a sign up asking for food or whatever.
I mean,
but again, I'm not downtown
too.
Hardly at all, and my office isn't really on the main stretch of the retail or bar scene.
Yeah.
So there's hardly any foot traffic on the street where my office is. So I honestly have no idea. I've been the coronavirus hasn't really affected me all that much because I was a shut-in before and I still am.
If I was going to be homeless, I would definitely be somewhere warmer. I mean, obviously New York City is warm in the summertime,
But there's so many people.
I would be somewhere where fruit and sustenance grows naturally on the trees. Yeah. Right? That would be a no-brainer. That would be a no-brainer for me. What's that?
San Diego.
Does fruit grow naturally on the trees? What kind of fruit do you have growing out there?
In Charleston?
No, in San Diego. I'm saying if I'm homeless, I want to live somewhere where nutrition...
Probably orange trees at the very least. When I was in Sacramento back in December, there were a ton of homeless people. I went for a bike ride, kind of around. There's a bike path that goes around downtown Sacramento. Sacramento's kind of flanked by rivers,
Yeah.
and so there's a bike path that
You
goes
wanna
along
get
the
him on
river
camera?
basically around the outside of the city. And I went for a bike ride there. It was maybe a 10 or 15 mile bike ride, and all along this bike path, every 30 or 40 feet was just this makeshift tent and shopping cart extravaganza of homeless people. I would say that in 10 miles, I probably passed by 40 or 50 at least.
But that's how it's becoming over here. It's really, I mean, it's pretty terrible. You know, it's all, I mean, for what I'm noticing, it's all drug related. It's not disenfranchised people that suddenly decide they're going to camp out in front of Madison Square Garden, because people do set up camps and tents in front of Madison Square Garden before there's a big concert or before tickets go on sale or something like that. I see that here and there. But these are people that are like all drugged out, passed out, drooling, you know, missing limbs.
Yeah, we just went out to CVS to grab some beers, and there was this guy that was like completely gone on 8th Avenue, and he literally came to the hundred. I was like, move. So I got in the middle of them, and I was like, oh, can I get something to eat? And I was like, we were literally 10 meters away from where he was, but when we were there, when he started asking us for food, we just kept walking, and he just stayed there. I was like, can I get? And I was like, oof, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And then you go to 33rd, and you see a lot of people just staying in the middle of the street, just sleeping.
Yeah, so James, you know, you've been here. Anybody watching on live, our office is located a block from Madison Square Garden, Penn Station, and 3 blocks from Port Authority, which traditionally are pretty populated places. Yeah. Lots of tourists. Wow. There's a gazillion hotels in the area. And
literally
hotels
8 blocks away from 42nd Street.
Yeah, well, 7 blocks away. So, and we're right near Times Square. So we're closer to the Penn Station, Madison Square Garden, but we're right near Times Square as well. Like you could probably see some of the lights reflecting off this building here. And with the hotels closed down, you don't have the tourists, and you have these people on the streets that are literally taking over. Yeah. I have a good picture I took the other day. Somebody had used the scaffolding as a toilet paper holder. Because they shit.
You gotta get creative.
They're shitting in the street, you know. Oh God.
And the smell.
Well, it just rained last night, so they flushed the toilet.
Oh my God. Yeah, thank God it rained hard. Although that was also under the scaffolding. It does not rain that hard. Oh God. But it's sad. But there's not much you can do. I talked to, because there's also a police precinct right here, and they stand at the end of the block because they don't want any issues on the block with people like fucking with the police cars or something like that, especially now. And I asked the police officer the other week, and he said, what are we supposed to do? Like, we arrest them. They don't have ID on them. For the most part, we arrest people. They put up a big fight, and it's just catch and release. Yeah. So, police really can't do something to stop the homelessness. And it's...
Especially now with the defund the police movement as well.
It's not exactly a police issue, but the biggest issue is these people are homeless in their pursuit of hard drugs. And it's not an issue of giving someone a home. It's that they don't really want a home. They want to be high all the time. They want to be on the street, and they don't care if they've eaten, if whatever appendage is rotting off, because a lot of these people got into the hard drugs because they didn't have health insurance, they couldn't afford this, or they couldn't afford that, and now, before you know it, they're doing heroin, and then they get arrested for some reason, and then they get court ordered to go to the methadone clinic, which is also down the block, and that's why this block is so bad, because you have a methadone clinic down the block. However, we went from day drinking to broker fees to methadone clinics. I don't know.
Well,
now we have to go about tax
day drinking only get you so far, but a strong pull of heroin, that'll cross the line.
Yeah,
you'll be feeling good all day.
I think if somebody offered me heroin and they said, you should really try it, you'll like it, I would just say, I know, but no, thank you.
Stay far away from heroin.
They say, like, if you're at this level normally energy-wise and you drink coffee, it brings you up here. but then your normal goes back. It goes below what you were
Yeah.
before. Heroin fucks with the chemicals in your head, and you never really experience pleasure
Or pleasure in the same way that you used
at
to.
the same way. But your average is way lower than it was before. So then you're on this cycle to try to get back to somewhere. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about drugs like that, so it's
I
out
got
of my realm.
fentanyl in the hospital once, and that was pretty incredible.
He was like, I got Vicodin. I got Xanax.
No. Fentanyl's stronger than heroin. It was when they
Fentanyl is for
broken.
something like,
Justin, I think you were at that meet actually when I broke my arm.
So James broke his arm in a wrestling match. I don't know whatever happened to your arm. He fell back on it. It got crushed.
No.
Fuck.
I know exactly what happened because I remember it very clearly.
I
A
was
guy
there.
shot a single on me. I pancaked, and so then he now my chest is to his back, and so I put my arm down on the mat to stabilize, so that way he wouldn't throw me off balance and get the points for the takedown. And so he kept on shifting my weight more and more onto my left. And it was the first match of the season, so I'm just like, I'm giving no ground here. I'm fighting as hard as I can. So I kept my arm locked on the mat, and he kept on putting more and more weight. And eventually my arm said, nah.
Well, so I don't think
And
James. He didn't realize his arm was broken. He knew he was in some pain.
Oh, no, I knew my arm was broken immediately.
But you went to at the end of the wrestling match. You go and you shake the opposing coach's hand. And I just remember
Yeah, I
James
did that.
walking over, and he went to shake the opposing coach's hand, and his arm went like this.
Oh no, it was a boomerang.
Yeah.
No, I knew as soon as my arm broke, during the match, I felt the crack. I heard the crack, and I felt it. And I was like, oh, that's not good. I immediately let the guy pin me because I'm like, I'm not fighting out of this one.
Yeah.
And so I got up, and through the haze of the adrenaline and everything else, I look up and my arm's all screwy. And I was like, all right, well, shake the guy's hand, shake the other coach's hand, because that's what you're supposed to do. And then I walked back to our team's bench. I'm like, Coach, I think I got to go to the hospital.
Okay. Well, how old were you? Like 15?
15.
God. Yeah, man. I enjoyed
But
this.
yeah, when they had to realign my arm. So I was in the hospital, when I first got there, as soon as they got me into a bed in, the ER, the first thing they did was all right, we're getting you some morphine, kid. I'm like, all right. So they did that, and, even just the morphine, they gave it straight to my arm, so, you feel it, we're at the injection site, and then, you feel it slowly spread throughout your body as the blood circulates or whatever. So you got just, this concentrated point of relaxation that just spreads and then, gets to your chest, and then you just feel it hit your entire body, and you feel better. And so fentanyl, I don't remember the onset of it because they gave me two drugs. They gave me fentanyl and Versed. Versed is a short-acting benzodiazepine, which will just knock you out.
Can you hit my neck this
They
just
gave
sit
me
on-
fentanyl and
Ale,
Versed at the
siéntate
same
acá.
time. And they said, all right,
Ponle-
go back to 10. I think I made it to about
Ponle
6.
en la cámara.
Don't remember anything.
Record him. Yeah.
But I remember waking up in the middle of this haze of fentanyl and Versed pumping through my veins. The two, medical interns just torquing on my arm to get back to the street. And that was enough pain for me to snap me out of whatever bliss I was in.
But
And then I was awake for the rest of it. And so I just got my arm sitting there in the cash, letting the cash harden. And I am just high off of my ass on fentanyl. And I remember I'm just sitting there with my arm elevated and the oxygen mask on, and way off in the distance, I hear a nurse's voice. And I said, James, 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 you have to remember to breathe. And I remember going through my head was, that's way too much work. I am way too happy right now. I was that happy. I could just sit there and not breathe and just enjoy the feeling of it. And that was fentanyl. And I remember from the whole experience of breaking my arm and getting all the drugs in the hospital and whatnot, I just remember thinking, you cannot ever go near anything like this again. Because if you do, you're just going to be homeless yelling at pigeons in the street.
But that's exactly how drugs work. And luckily you got a lot going on for you that you can find joy in some other things. But especially if that was the paramount of your life, and it was relatively cheap, and you didn't have much else.
If someone were to offer me heroin today, I would say no. Not because I didn't want it, because I know that would be the end of my life right there.
And the thing, for example, here in the States is that it's really easy for doctors to prescribe you anything. Because I remember in 2018,
They don't typically prescribe you heroin, though.
no, of course not heroin, yeah, but they will prescribe you things like Bacardi,
No,
they'll
no
prescribe you
heroin.
painkillers
No,
left and
no,
right, which I think is the hook for all of the next drugs. Because I went just to get my, what do you call them?
Heroin fix.
A heroin fix. Now, I went to get my mouth clean. I do it every 6 months.
Got a
And
really,
he found-
really dirty mouth.
And he found that I had a cavity, and he was like, "It's gonna hurt, so I'm gonna put some morphine in you, and do this and
I
that."
think you're talking about Novocaine, because they don't give you morphine for filling a cavity.
Well, he was like, "I'll give you morphine," so he put morphine on me, and then
His
he was
English isn't the best. You sure this is
No,
morphine?
no.
like, "It was morphine. It was morphine because I didn't feel anything because he was like, you have a big cavity in your
no, that's Novocaine.
thing."
Morphine and Novocaine are
Wait. And then
different
once the whole thing was done, he was like, "I can also prescribe you Bacardi, for the pain for the next 3 to 5 days." And I was like, "What is Bacardi?" He was like, "It's a painkiller. You're not gonna feel shit for the next 3 to 5 days." And I was like, "Should I? Shouldn't I? And I was like, "Nah, it's okay." Back then, I didn't have any health insurance, so go getting Bacardi on your own is literally $22 a pill.
A pill?
Yeah. A pill, yeah. So, that's the reason why I understand why a lot of companies actually prescribe you Bacardi, because if you actually have health insurance, all of these companies will actually get that money. And they'll hook you into it, and you'll be like, "Oh, can I get another refill? Can I get another refill?" And then if these pharmaceutical companies are actually telling doctors that, yeah, give them refills as many as they want, the pill is safe, the pill is okay, they're not going to get addicted to it, and then boom. By 2018, 2019, we had this crisis of people just leaving the regular pills that they had, like Vicodin, Xanax, and all these things.
Going
Because
on
they couldn't
the cheaper street
cheaper.
option.
And not just because it's cheaper, it's because the doctors can no longer give them any more, what do you call this? Prescriptions, yeah. No
So
more.
on that note, I want to hit the Amex Platinum. I think hard drugs, definitely something for the more affluent. And no one's affluent without an American Express card. And it's either black card or platinum card. It's a lot easier to qualify for the platinum card, I can tell you that. But the cool thing about the platinum card is you get access. This is
You
true.
get to buy your drugs.
We're gonna take a nice flight together. I'm gonna bring you to some of these Centurion Lounges where you get free
Colombia.
beer and wine. They have nice showers. They got nice lounge, free food, buffet style. Really, really 5-star, really nice lounges. And the Amex Platinum is a great card. It clinks like no other. I have 2 of them because I really believe in the card. You get the airline credit. I've been getting these shipping credits. When I ship something on FedEx, I actually get money back on the shipment. So I pay the same price as everybody else, but then I get $4 back. It's not bad, right?
Not bad at all.
I ship something on eBay. I've been shipping these old He-Man action figures that I found in my mom's barn, and I've been getting $2.06 back per transaction through American Express, and it is a badass card. It's not like a typical plastic card. Here's a Chase Platinum card. It doesn't
sound the exact same thing.
It's a pretty solid card, and my credit only allows me so much when it comes to nice credit cards. But I have a lot of cards, and the American Express is hands down my favorite. And before everything is touch payments only, you get to hand this to a couple of cashiers, and people think you got some money. But yeah, the $200 airline credit, where if my baggage is overweight, I don't have to worry about that. They credit me up to $200 in a year. That's pretty cool.
I was going to say per flight, or what's the limit on there?
No, I mean, how much is overweight baggage? $45 or something like that? I don't know, because if
Anywhere
anything,
between $25 and $50.
I don't know though.
I don't check bags.
I don't worry about it. If I have to check bags and I go somewhere, I don't like people weigh their bags. They have luggage weighers and stuff like that. I've had this card since 2012 or 13, and I just fly and I don't think about those things. And a lot of times with the Platinum card, you get free upgrades. There's a travel concierge, which has helped me out in Sweden and Japan, in England. I've gotten some really good hookups when it comes to free upgrades, and they always hook me up with great hotels, rental cars, and American Express covers your rental car damage insurance. So if I hit somebody in a rental car or I back into a pole, they cover your insurance.
That's the beauty of credit cards. If you know how to use them, it's a benefit. But if you use them to get into debt, exactly. A lot of people actually spend more than what they actually make on credit cards, and that's super bad.
But I mean, I've got them all. I've been doing it for a long time, spending a lot of money on credit, and I get a lot of points through Amex, and it's definitely one of my absolute favorites. And I have a few different Amex cards, different lines of credit for the business and for myself. But the Platinum card definitely has the most benefits. So if you're interested in the Platinum card, click on my YouTube link, follow SipTalk, and there's a link below where you get a sign up and you get a bonus amount of points. I think it's 20,000 points. It changes. 20,000 points free though.
Yeah. And
another thing is I put all my expenses on that American Express card, and I get points every time I buy something. So I can use these points to travel for free. And I have not paid for a flight in at least 5 years.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful, right? I fly to see my sister.
When are you coming to Charleston?
When the business starts making some money after this coronavirus shit lets up. But I would definitely go down to
So I
Charleston.
guess I'm not seeing you anytime soon.
I would definitely go down to Charleston, and I will put the hotel on my points, and I will put the flight on my points, and then you can cook us dinner.
Yeah, like the beauty of American Express is the upgrades that you get. You get upgrades out of nowhere, and
I mean, it's a good card, and I really appreciate having it. That was a promo I wanted to run on that. Do me a favor, can you read that meme one more time?
What's considered trashy if you're poor, but classy if you're rich? Day drinking, speaking two languages, doing hard drugs, tax avoidances. Let's just bleep that last thing. I already had enough problems with the IRS already.
But
I got another one. This is not original, but what's trashy when you're poor, but what's classy when you're rich? Taking government assistance.
Oh, that's a tough.
well, sure,
thing.
there's bailouts for you right there, and everything. Andres, we're gonna wrap up while you're out of here. Is that cool?
Give me 1 second.
Unless there's any questions on Chris, what's up, man? Xavier, what's going on? Anybody have any questions on live? Just while we're at it, you guys are still live. You're just not holding up these phones. Any real estate questions? Hit me up. Vince, nice to see you. And finally, you're joining mine. But we're just wrapping up. James, is there anything you want to add? You got one over there?
Someone asked, what is the most
Going
challenging
what?
thing about being a real estate agent? Is it a big difference selling in New York versus New Jersey?
What's the biggest issue being a real estate agent? What's the rephrase that one more time?
What's the most challenging thing?
What's the most challenging thing about being a real estate agent is always lead generation.
And is it a big difference selling in New York versus New Jersey?
So first things first, what's the biggest barrier of entry? What's the most challenging part of being a real estate agent is lead generation. Exit polls for people who don't renew their license or people who quit is always about lead generation. And a lot of people when I interview who are looking to join a brokerage are asking for leads. Now, I do my best to train agents. I didn't have any training when I started real estate. They just put me at a laptop and told me to post ads. Now, that's the rental market in New York City, which I started in. The rental market is great because you have open listings in Manhattan. So you can preview those, you take photos of them, you can advertise them. That's a really, in my opinion, it's way easier to get started in the Manhattan market because of the open listings. Now, you use those listings to generate leads. And every lead that you get, as far as I was concerned, was someone who might do business with me over the next 30 days, over the next 2 months, or over the next 2 or 5 years. So I held on to everybody's information and followed up with everybody. But the biggest issue is lead generation. And for me and the agents that we hire here, you have the rental listings, and now we have a huge vacancy rate and so many listings. I don't have enough agents to keep up with the vacancies that we're giving from the accounts that we're exclusive with and from the open listings. The difference between New Jersey and New York City is you don't have a strong rental market to get your footing. So like I just said, you can get these open listings, you can advertise those, you can make money. You can close a rental deal in a day. Now, if you want to find someone a home in New Jersey, you have to know someone who's buying. You have to connect with them. Or if you want to list a home in New Jersey, which listing a home is a great way to also find people who are looking to buy because you hold open houses, and these people show up to your open houses, and you can follow back up with them and over to show them listings that are on the MLS. But in order to list homes, you need to have the connections with owners. And when you're a new agent, you don't know very much, you don't have a track record, that becomes really, really difficult. So in my opinion, it's a lot easier to start in New York City. And when I train people, I think some of the techniques that we use are really no-brainers. But just like working out, a lot of people fail at it. A lot of people sign up for the gym and never show back up. Or a lot of people sign up for the gym and show up regularly, but they don't lose any weight. A lot of people gain weight over the course of their memberships to the gym, which is wild. But losing weight is not a complex endeavor. You eat less and you burn more calories. It's very simple. Any other questions on the TikTok?
Well, the plan is simple. The execution, not so much.
But the execution
Save the video.
is just doing. You got to save it, or you got something?
It ended.
Okay,
Save
cool.
the
Just
video.
make sure you save it.
On live? On Instagram?
Yeah.
You can save it.
So, but the execution, the application is obviously the tough part. But it's just a matter of taking the small steps and doing the small things, especially when it comes to working out, or certainly when it comes to real estate. Following up with people is really, I tell my agents here, keep a spreadsheet or in a Google sheet, or even on paper, of every lead that you have, and follow up with them daily. You just add their name to the spreadsheet, and you shoot them a text every morning. I mean, I shoot hundreds of text messages a day out to people, and them reaching out to you is an invitation to you to follow back up with them. Even if you don't have listings for them, just let them know you're thinking about them, and you'll let them know when you have something. But I think following up is your basic thing that's really going to create a lot of success and create a lot of people who want to work with you.
Yeah, and exactly. That's one of the things that Justin taught me. I was like, until they tell you to shut the fuck up, just leave me fucking alone. Just keep on going.
But so when I reach out to somebody, when I follow up with somebody, I'm going to follow up every single day in a nice way.
Yeah.
Not like, yo, how come you never answered me? But hey, just want to let you know I'm still looking for apartments. Let me know if there's any way I can be a resource. If I find something that fits your needs, I'll send it to you right away. At a certain point, someone's going to, if they're not responding to it, if they respond to me, great, I'll engage them and work with them. But at a certain point, they may respond and say, I found something. Or they may say, stop fucking texting me. And either or, I'm fine. Like, okay, no problem. Or, okay, I'll follow up with you in 9-10 months and see if you're looking to move. But once they reach out to you, they reach out to a salesperson, that's your invitation to follow up with them. All right, so I'm going to wrap up. James, anything you want to add?
I just want to pit myself for a second here. I'm working a professional soccer match on Saturday. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. It's a match coming out of Columbia International University. It's Georgia Revolution versus Savannah Clovers. If any of you want to watch me yell up on all the players, coaches, or whatever, there should be a free stream of this professional match on mycujoo.com, mycujoo.com.
Can you throw that? All right, I'm going to say it over here. You threw that in the chat?
I think so.
Okay, because that's not even an English word, but it's M-Y, Cujoo, C-U-J-O-O.
Yeah, I'm going to double check on that. Yep.
All right, that's mycujoo.com. .tv. mycujoo.tv. You can
Yeah,
leave.
and I'll be working professional match on Saturday. So anybody that wants to watch me run around in South Carolina eat on Saturday.
What time?
3 o'clock kickoff.
3 p.m. Eastern Time. mycuju.com. .tv. Shit. mycuju.tv. mycujoo. All right, James. We're going back to work. So enjoy your rum, and we're gonna get back to work over here. All right. Adios, guys.
All right, you do your thing, man.
Good thing, man.
Bye.
As always, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you owe me a like. And if you haven't subscribed, what's wrong with you?